Welcome, Let Freedom Ring. I survived Cooperstown Hall of Fame weekend for Big Papi. It was absolutely amazing. I recommend anybody go to Hall of Fame weekend. It's the best. But we're keeping Nick out of the studio. Again, Nick, you have an open invitation to come on the show. We only have Karate Kid stuff on the table per the request of the Merrimack studio. But Nick, I really would like to put this behind us at some point. But we'll see what happens. But my guest this week, he's the president of the Merrimack Men's Slow Pitch Softball League, Jim O'Connor. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Dan.
Yeah, pleasure
to join.
Yeah, no, pleasure to have you. Let's get to know you a little bit. Where are you from? Where'd you grow up?
So I grew up in Merrimack. So first 24 years of my life, I was in Merrimack. So I grew up about a mile from Reed's Ferry Elementary. So that's where I went. And then I went to, when I went to the middle school here, it was 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, my 6th grade year. And then they built the new middle school, which was like 20 years ago now. So 7th and 8th grade there, and then I went to high school at Trinity in Manchester. But yeah, went to college, came back, lived in Merrimack for a couple years, and then moved up to Manchester. Now I'm in Nashua.
Awesome. Yeah. I used to work at JMU's, so that came like right after you probably got to the middle school.
Yeah, so I guess technically we were like the first class to go through 7th and 8th grade in the new middle. I call it the new middle school still, but.
Was Bill Morris a principal there when you were?
No, he wasn't the principal there, but it sounds familiar.
Yeah. I worked with him. And Trinity, did you play any sports there?
Yeah, so I went there to play hockey, but I played baseball there as well.
Awesome. Trinity, when I was growing up, I was a wrestler for Nashua High, and I remember they took our coach at one point, Kurt Rowlett, and he was the coach of Trinity, and he taught them all the spladle, which was like our thing, and now Trinity was doing it, which never took it too personal, but I remember that. What are 3 things that everybody should know about you?
First, my dog, probably. I'm a big dog guy, so my dog Wally, he's a great looking dog. He's a golden doodle, so he's 4 years old, so I spend a lot of time with him. Probably the reason I'm here, president of the softball league, so I love softball. I've stopped playing as much as I was in the years past. I was kind of taking a year off. But yeah, and then I guess a third thing, I just love sports, man. Fantasy sports. I love that the gambling's legal here in New Hampshire now. So, this is a tough part of the year for that. It's kind of like the middle of the baseball season, kind of boring, but it's almost August, and August means football's right around the corner. So, looking forward to the NFL.
Right now, I got to bring this up because a lot of people hit me up about this, and I didn't know about it. You're not a Patriots fan.
I'm not, and that was very tough growing up in New England. It's a weird dynamic though, because the Patriots won 1,000 Super Bowls, but the Giants got those 2, and they were against the Patriots. So my friends take it easy on me with the Giants being like such a dumpster fire like they are now. But yeah, it was an interesting time to come up with everybody being Pats fans, and I was kind of the one Giants fan.
How'd you become a Giants fan? How does that work out?
Yeah, I get that question a lot, so it definitely wasn't by choice. So my dad grew up in Western Mass, and his dad grew up in Western Mass, and back when there was no Patriots, everybody rooted for the Giants out there. So it was kind of inherited as a Giants fan. So here we are. At this point, I can't leave. Like it can't get much worse. So.
And Jim Kubiak, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Big Giants fan. But he's like a delusional Giants fan where like he thinks he controlled the Patriots. Where I'm like, dude, your team was worse.
Yeah, and it was also like a decade ago that we beat them in the Super Bowl. But I'm a realistic Giants fan. I'll say that. I'm not usually happy about the offseason moves that they make, but I feel like this year the draft they did pretty well. Try not to get too optimistic because usually by week 2 they've already let me down. So,
and they're bringing back the throwbacks. Did you see the thing with LT?
I didn't see that. Is it the ones with the Giants
they,
on the
they
helmet?
They did it, but they brought LT back to the stadium, and he was like, "You guys are gonna wear these now," or something.
Oh, I did not see that. I got to check that out. But that's awesome.
It was pretty cool. The Giants did ruin at least the undefeated. Like the other Super Bowl, I wasn't like too heartbroken about. The undefeated season was pretty miserable at Plymouth State that night. Really miserable.
Yeah, so not for that one, but the 2011 one. I went to UMass Amherst.
Okay.
And UMass Amherst is almost a 50-50 mix of like New York and Connecticut kids and like Massachusetts and like New Hampshire kids. So it was very split Giants-Patriots. So there was going to be a riot there no matter what. It just happened to be mostly angry Pats fans that day.
I could see that. Did everybody kind of like squash it the next day, or?
Yeah, I think everyone was over it
the
next day. But yeah, that was an interesting time for sure.
Awesome, awesome. Now, sticking with the theme of the show, this is like the biggest question we ask, and it means a lot of different things to everybody. It's a loaded question, which I understand. But what does it mean to you to be an American?
Oh, wow, that's a good question. It is kind of a loaded question, but no, I think being an American is just standing up for what you believe in. I think a big part of that though is like understanding other people's perspectives. I think from stuff I've seen this day and age, some people lose kind of sight of that. But I think being an American, standing up for something you believe in, if you see something that you don't think is right, kind of doing what you can to fix it, things like that. So.
All right. Good answer. Well, do you want to talk about this? Because we said this before. You are the president of the Merrimack Softball League, which has become a very popular league. First of all, how did you get into slow pitch softball?
Yeah, good question. So when I was in high school in the summer, I was playing Legion baseball for Post 98 in Merrimack. And one of my teammates, Tyler Garstang, his dad was one of the guys that kind of formed the Merrimack League, or maybe didn't form it, but he was on the board for a while. But so Garstang's entire life, he was going down to hang out at Martell and watch games. So it was my summer of my senior year, between my junior year and senior year of high school, and my friend Garstang said, "Hey man, once we're done with baseball, we're getting into softball. Like you gotta get into it."
Yeah.
So one day we had a game at the high school in Merrimack, a Legion game at 4, and after I told him, "All right, we'll go down to Martell, we'll check it out." And I was just shocked at like how good. I just a lot of people, they don't see softball like, oh, it's coming in slow, it's going to be super easy. People don't really give it credit for like good defense, and people are like really good hitting. So I kind of was hooked at that point, and I got into the Merrimack League. Right after my junior year of college, I was able to join the league, and haven't looked back since. It's been it definitely didn't expect it to get to this point.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, I'll play a couple games here and there.
Yeah.
Didn't think 10 years later I'd be the president of the league, but here we are.
Now let me ask you this, because I'm starting to notice, and I think I noticed this when I transitioned from baseball to softball. Did you have a hard time hitting it? Like, because what I'm noticing is a lot of like the young players, great fielders. Mm-hmm. They went from baseball to softball, and they're like great fielders, but the bats just aren't there. How'd you feel going from baseball to softball hitting wise?
Yeah, I think I actually picked it up pretty quick, but I think for me it was more knowing the strike zone it's like such a difficult thing, and a lot of people that struggle at the beginning, they're swinging at bad pitches. They don't know what's a strike and what's not a strike, and they're like, oh, I came here to play softball, I'm going to swing at every pitch that I see. I think my baseball approach kind of transitioned well into softball in that regard, where I was always working counts and just trying to get a good pitch to hit. Definitely the timing gets a little bit off. It's hard to not, like, you're waiting for that ball to come down. But yeah, the transition is definitely tough, especially for people that are trying to do both, still play baseball and softball, and maybe even golf. And it's like those are all different swings and things like that. So definitely, we have a lot of good young players in the league now that have transitioned like very quickly from baseball to softball. So it's awesome to see. Yeah,
it is definitely a transition. I will say, and I'm noticing with the young players now, like when I first jumped into softball at Plymouth State, I was a lights out shortstop. The bat just took time. Yeah, it really just did. So how long now have you been playing?
Yeah, so this is my 10th year in the league. So I think 2013 I was drafted. I've actually been on the same team since I was drafted. So yeah, this will be my 10th season. I played probably like 6 or 7 years of tournament softball, like on the weekends. I took this year off. But yeah, the Merrimack League, it's something that we all look forward to every year, where we live in the country where we can't play softball year round. So we get that kind of 5-month window where everybody loves it. I love it. So I'm fortunate that I've been able to stay in the area. I work close by, and I'm able to make all the games and stuff. So
awesome. Now I got to know this, because I just became the president of the Nashua Sunday Co-ed League.
Congrats.
Which is a 1-day-a-week league, which is a little easier I feel like it's a little easier to run because it's just 1 day a week. Granted, I'm always trying to make sure we have enough teams, because it is tournament softball and going on, and Sundays is just a tough day.
Yeah.
But how did you end up becoming the president of the Merrimack League?
Yeah, so usually I feel like in the past, I actually saw Tom Boland walking out of here before. He's one of my predecessors. He was the president, I think, not when I joined, but he probably like 3rd, 4th, 5th year I was in the league. Kind of like usually people get on the board first. They do the board stuff for a little while, and then somebody needs to be the president, and they kind of step up. I had a couple guys, and the president was stepping down probably 2 years ago, and a lot of the other guys that were on the board didn't want the responsibility of kind of running it. And I was already a coach of a team at that point, so a lot of the times some of those board members would run their ideas by me. I would come up with different ideas, and they would end up running with that and kind of putting those things into place. So I was kind of just always interested in it. I'm kind of one of those organizational people where like I've always been the one in charge of our fantasy football league. I've always been, running the March Madness pools. That's kind of always been something I'm interested in. So it just kind of was a natural fit. And so yeah, last year was my first year as the president.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Who was the president before that then?
Hollywood. So Brendan McLaughlin
okay.
was the president for 3 years. And the 3 years before that, I think, was Tom Boland. And then before that was Todd Anderson. So I had some big shoes to fill.
I had to reschedule with Hollywood. We still got to figure it out. We'll probably have him in September because I got COVID when I was supposed to have him on, and I was like, I don't want to risk. I know he does all his competitions. I was like, we can't. I don't want to risk giving you COVID. So now it sounds like the Merrimack League's your first experience with softball.
Yeah.
So I have to ask, you've really only known like the draft setup.
Pretty much. I played. So when I first started playing. Some of the guys on my team, actually Hollywood, he had a team in Manchester Sunday nights. So that was really the only other league I've really played in before, where you enter your own team. But like you said, Sundays can be a pretty tough day sometimes, especially like during football season, and it's hard to get everybody there. And if you're not playing double headers, sometimes it's hard to get guys to come down for just one game. But yeah, I think. It's just the league's been so good, and the season is so long. We play 27 regular season games, and everybody's got stuff going on the weekends. So it's kind of been my competitive fill. I haven't really felt the need to play in a lot of other leagues because I see guys. I know we were talking about J-Ro earlier, but J-Ro came in and he a couple years ago loved softball, dove right in, signed up for 1 million teams, signed up to coach and stuff, and he got burnt out a little bit. And I think that's kind of you got to balance it out a little bit. You don't want to play too much and overdo it. So I feel like I've done a good job of that.
Yeah, I play every night unless I'm working.
Yeah.
But I got to ask this question: what's your overall thoughts in the draft like? And do you think other leagues could do this?
That's a good question. So I guess first, my overall thoughts, that's the best part of our league, without a doubt. If you were to look at our standings right now, I think that the second place team and the ninth place team are separated by like 2 games right now with 7 games to go. That doesn't happen in a lot of other leagues, at least from what I'm told. Usually a lot of other leagues, it's kind of, you have the upper echelon teams, you got the kind of the lower teams that they might beat up on each other a little bit, but for the most part, you get to the end of the year and it's usually the same 2 or 3 teams that are kind of in the mix. Last year in our league, the 5 seed lost to the 6 seed in the championship, and like that's like unheard of in slow pitch softball. So in terms of like other leagues, if you have the people that are like they love softball, then yeah, like I would definitely encourage it. I think that the difficult part is when you want to recruit and get new players, they want to play with their friends.
Yeah.
And it's hard to recruit them and say, hey, I want you to play, but I can't guarantee that you're going to be on my team. So I would say if you have a league of people, and it could be 6 teams, it could be, we run a fall ball league where it's 6 teams, and that's great. It could be 8 teams, could be 10 teams. But it's more like the guys that are there because they love softball and they want to play softball. They're not necessarily there to hang out with their friends a little bit.
But it seems like, because I go down, so when I can, obviously I work Monday nights. I used to work, I've never been able to do it because Monday nights and Wednesday nights have always been my night shifts.
Okay.
I had Wednesdays off this year, finally, but I got COVID. I missed the tryouts. Basically, like how do you get everybody to buy into everybody seems like they're having a good time, and everybody's like they all become buddies because they probably played with each other before. Like, what do you think it takes to just have everybody buy into that draft idea?
It's tough, and it's hard for me to answer because it was already set and like this was set up long before me, so it's really all I've known. But I think I look back to like last night when I was at the field. At one point there was a group of us talking in a circle, and I looked and there was 7 people on 7 different teams there. And kind of like I think what you were just saying, if you stay in the league long enough and you're getting on different teams, you're not only meeting different people, but it's like you might not be on your buddy's team, but every night you might be playing against your buddy. And sometimes that's just as fun or more fun than playing on their team every single night. So, but you're right, it is hard to get everybody to buy in. But unfortunately, that's why we see a decent amount of turnover every year because, some people, it might have just been a little bit more competitive than they thought, or they might have said like, I thought I'd be okay not knowing anyone on my team, but, it wasn't that fun for me. So that's kind of my job and our job as the board is like, how can we make sure that it's the most fun? People are enjoying it. It's still competitive, but at the end of the day, like this is a hobby for everybody. We want to make sure everybody's having fun. But in terms of like getting people to buy in, I don't have a great answer to that. It's tough. It's tough.
Because I'd like to see this in Nashua. There's talk in merging the two Nashua leagues. Obviously, though, I think what we found, the Monday Wednesday league, I can only play there 1 day a week, but they seem to have enough teams. But I'm like, it'd be great to like merge them together. But I don't think that if Nashua went to draft, it's not going to compete with Monday Wednesday. It would have to be Tuesday Thursday.
Yeah.
Do you think Nashua could ever pull it off?
I think so. I think we have a lot. I know that there's guys in our league that play in Nashua as well. I think you would find plenty of people that want to play in both. I think there's no harm in trying. Is kind of my thought. I think kind of like I mentioned before, like we ran a little fall ball, almost like not a test, but it's like you might want to try something like that. Like, hey, let's just run like a 6-game draft, see how people feel about it, see if this is something that people want to do going forward. But yeah, I think it just adds a different element to the league that it's very unique. So
yeah, I mean, I ran like a Nashua pickup league during the pandemic when nothing was going on in Nashua. Mm-hmm. And people were having a blast just throwing their gloves in and playing against whoever that night, So I love the draft idea.
Yeah.
I absolutely love it. But do you ever get anybody upset, like, I don't want to be on this team? Do you ever get, like, I want to be traded or anything like that?
All the time.
Yeah.
Not all the time, but so I'll start here. A lot of people want us to, especially like now that, we had the podcast and we had a lot of other stuff going on, kind of a website for the league. A lot of people wanted us to do the draft live.
Okay.
We didn't do it because it's an awful idea. People don't realize that.
People are going to get pissed.
People are going to get pissed, and people did get pissed this year. Unfortunately, some of the draft results got leaked out, and we're still dealing with some people that are mad. Not even mad about what team they ended up, just mad about who got drafted before them.
Yeah.
And it's just like kind of like little rivalries there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think we have like about 160 guys in the league. It would be very unrealistic for us to say like, oh, everyone's going to be happy about where they end up. One thing we did this year is we moved. So there's actually trades during the season, which is pretty crazy. Like trading a guy mid-year, you play with him a couple games and you trade him. But a lot of the trades you see mid-season, it's a guy that says, hey, I'm either not getting along with the people on the team, or I might have a chance to play a little bit more. Like, what can you do? And our coaches are really good about like, all right, this guy's not having a great time. We don't want him to quit. Like, let's see if we can like figure out a trade or something like that. But yeah, no, we get every year. We got guys going into the draft. I don't want to play for this guy. I don't want to play for this guy. But I would say 9 times out of 10, people that say that, if they get drafted on that team, they still show up all the time anyway, and it ends up being
because they want to be there.
Exactly. Yeah. They also don't want to be the guy that's like the guy that flakes, because we have a good rule in place where if you just quit because you're mad about the team that you're on, like that's what we do. It's a draft league. Like we typically don't let them come back the next year. If you have to quit because you get hurt or your work schedule changes or you move,
life
like
happens.
that's perfectly fine. But it's more so like, hey, I just don't like Joey on my team. Like I don't want to. I'm not going to play anymore. Like we probably won't have you back because we have a lot of interest in the league and we don't want to take that spot away from somebody else that is going to come.
Now, how does the keepers work? How does that work?
Yeah, so unfortunately, that's changed a lot over the years. So I heard, so with the draft league started, I think in like the late 90s, I want to say, is what I've been told. So they've been doing that. But back then it was 8 keepers. So like, even though it was a draft league, it was, it's
pretty much
the same teams.
Yeah.
Basically, you were just going after new guys that weren't in the league before. When I started, it was 6 keepers, which I still think was a little bit too much. During the pandemic, we went full redraft, which a lot of people really liked. And then the year before that and the year after that, we went 2 keepers, which was a little light. I think right now we're in the sweet spot where we do 4 keepers every year. So you don't have to keep 4. You can if you want to.
Okay.
Basically, the way that it works is think about your 4 keepers as the first 4 rounds of picks. Basically, the way it works is by the first pick of the 5th round, everyone has the same number of people on the team. So, if your team keeps 4, my team only keeps 2, I'm going to get 2 picks before you get to pick. Okay. So that we're all equal.
Yeah.
So.
That's pretty cool. Now,
yeah.
I feel like the Merrimack League saw a lot of expansion during the pandemic, or in 2020, I'll say, because are we even out of the pandemic? Yeah. I have no idea. But there was a lot of expansion because you guys ran in 2020.
Yep.
All the Nashville leagues, Sunday co-ed ran eventually, but the weekday leagues did not run. Did you see a lot of new players come into the league?
We definitely got a good chunk of players that I think usually just play in Nashua that came and played with us. I think we did 8 teams that year. But, a lot of it was our guys that from the year before that, at that point, because we didn't start that season until they lifted some of the COVID restrictions. I think it was middle of July-ish. So usually our season starts the first week of May. We had a short season that started kind of towards the end of July. And I think at that point, people were just so cooped up in their house for 4 or 5 months that they were just itching to get outside. So that was a really fun year, not only for the whole redraft part, but it was almost just we weren't all hanging out in crowds. We were social distancing and stuff, but it was more just all right, there's a little energy down at the field. It's kind of a feeling of normalcy. And really now is I can feel the energy down at the field now that I remember back when I first started, where everybody's hanging out, people on different teams interacting, and that's what we want. So
I'll be honest. Once the governor said you can play on the fields again, I was like, you know what? I'm not getting COVID outside. That was just my mentality.
Once that came out, it literally was the next day that we had a coaches meeting, and we're all right, what are we gonna do? Let's try to whip this together. We did a good job. I wasn't on the board at that point, but we did a good job of kind of putting that together really quick and just being able to get out on the fields.
So now, I guess my next question is, now you bring in, there's a lot of tournament players there, and a lot of people that we've had in our church league where it gets a little ridiculous. We're well, you have all these tournament players. Tournament player doesn't necessarily mean you're a great player.
Right.
Anybody can actually play tournaments. Yeah. But honestly, you have some really elite guys in this league. And then you got guys that more fall in the rec and stuff. Is it challenging to break some of these lineups, or is it just kind of the luck of the draw where you get drafted? Or there's got to be a struggle there.
No, there definitely is. So in terms of challenge to break the lineup, that's something that some guys kind of, I don't want to say struggle with, but especially a guy that he doesn't show up all the time. If he shows up once a week. We have bigger rosters this year. We had a lot of forfeits last year, so we wanted to make sure that we avoided that. So we have bigger rosters than usual. And, if your team has 15 players at the game, that's, even if you hit 12, that's difficult. You got to make 3 subs. And making subs is just not fun. I would love for everyone to play every inning of every game. But, I think the guys that are, you're saying, kind of the rec or just getting into softball or just really starting to get into it, it's actually been an awesome dynamic of them playing with some of the higher more accomplished tournament level players, because a lot of those guys in our league are willing to help and give them tips and hit BP with them, and it's been a good learning experience. But it's also for the guys that don't care about playing tournament softball or getting better. Those guys usually have a great attitude, and they're just kind of they just want to be part of a team. So you kind of get it from all different angles, but I think that's definitely something that people have asked me before, some of the lower level guys might not have as much fun. I've actually seen it be pretty much opposite. They really enjoy playing with some of the other guys.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
How do you handle forfeits? Because I've said it on Sundays, and anybody that's watching this from the Sunday Co-ed League, I will do anything to avoid forfeits. Because it's not like the draft. The rosters aren't set or anything like that. As a league president, do you feel the frustration when there is a forfeit?
Oh yeah, we had one on Monday. Very frustrating. Because, I feel bad for the team that they get a win, but they wanted to go down and play.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So this year we tried to. Last year we had an astronomical number of forfeits. We had 13 or 14 forfeits.
Oh wow.
Which was unacceptable.
That would drive me up the wall.
Oh, it was bad. And I felt bad. One of the teams was on the winning end of like 6 of them.
Yeah.
And it's like that team just got 6 less games to play.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, a lot of that's out of our control. And the most frustrating part definitely is finding out at 5 p.m. as opposed to like 8 a.m. At least at 8 a.m. I can, move some games around so that, the U-Trip doesn't have to send us 3 umpires. They can only send us 2. Just
we pay either way.
Exactly. Exactly. But yeah, the forfeits are very frustrating because, again, we didn't see a lot of that, I feel like, in years past. And this year we've been better. We've been better this year. But yeah, I'm definitely someone that gets frustrated when there's forfeits. But we as a league, like, we try to, like I was saying before, like if it's earlier in the year, okay, like if this team is forfeiting because they're, they have guys that got hurt, they don't have enough players, like, do we need to find another person to add to their team? Or is there somebody on a team that has 16 guys that show up every game that somebody might just want to get relocated to get more playing time? So we do our best with that, but definitely get frustrated on forfeits.
Now, with the Merrimack League being draft, because in a lot of leagues I play in, we're not talking that you get 6 guys from another team. Mm-hmm. Do you allow subs, 1 or 2?
This year we put in a rule this year to say, let's say your team forfeits against my team. My team still wants to play the game.
Yeah.
Your 8 guys can come down and get 2 subs. We just pick up anyone. They could be on other teams too.
Yeah.
Still play the game. It wouldn't count towards the standings or anything like that.
Okay, it doesn't count. All right.
We thought that would work. It hasn't worked.
No.
Basically, a lot of guys, and understandably so, they say, I'm not going to go down there for a scrimmage.
Count.
It doesn't count. So that was something we tried this year. Didn't work. But yeah, that's one problem that, every year we try to do something different to try to see how we can, because you're right, with the draft league, we can't just, I have 4 guys that are hurt. Like, let me bring in my cousin who's ends up being a ringer.
Like some of it's because what they do in the My Social Sports, which is obviously more rec.
Yep.
If you're in the league, you can sub. That's what they allow to happen there. That's more because it is a pay-to-play league where they've already paid. Everybody's paid a league fee no matter what. So I don't know. That could be something.
Yeah, we've played around with the idea of like a reserve list, but it's hard to get people to sign up at the beginning of the year to be a sub. Like
you're gonna call me at 5 o'clock.
Yeah, like hey, 5 o'clock, we need a guy, and it's like, I got other stuff going on.
Yeah,
it would be easier, like I said, if we found out about forfeits earlier in the day, we might be able to. But maybe next year we'll try a sub list or something like that.
Yeah, it's definitely tough, and I hate them. What's the most challenging part of being the league president?
Man, I would say, like I said, we have about 160-ish players in the league. Getting all of them to follow directions basically is kind of the most challenging. Understanding, we've done a great job with adding a website, so now it's not as much like, what time are we playing where, what's our schedule, who's made enough games, things like that. So we've made progress there. But I would say the most challenging part, we talked about forfeits, like that's pretty challenging because, it feels like we're letting players down, things like that. But yeah, for the most part, it's, just getting people to do what they're supposed to be doing, pick up your trash when you leave the dugout, stuff like that. Make sure we're raking the field, going to get home run balls. Over the course of a season, people can get kind of lazy with that type of stuff.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, I'd say that's probably the most challenging. Yeah.
I agree with a lot of that. What's the most rewarding part?
Most rewarding is honestly when I hear, guys recruiting, or I'll see screenshots of people on social media being like, Merrimack's the best league around, yada, yada, yada. Like, that is the most rewarding to me, where it's guys that have been maybe added to the league in the last year or so are like singing the praises of the league, and they really want other people to join and stuff like that. I think, and again, like I said, seeing nights like Monday night where I'm in a circle and all 7 of us are on different teams, like I think that's a really awesome thing that we do. So that when I see things like that, I'm like, all right, we're doing pretty good here.
I like that too. Like I've been in the Industrial League in Nashville for a long time now, very long time. And it's like we all know each other so well. That's why I just think like we could do this. We all know each other, and I've had new teams come in, and I just think it's a possibility. But
yeah, I think you guys would have fun with it. I think another challenging part. I know we missed this question already, but we had challenging time getting people to coach this year, because when you enter your own team, it's like usually it's all your buddies, and you don't have to worry about like tracking guys down to figure out if they're going to be there or not, and like you already have kind of like relationships built. Being a coach is kind of challenging in this league a little because a lot of the guys you're drafting you don't know.
Yeah,
and it's like now you gotta not only do you have to get the guys to the field and communicate all the details they need to know, but like now you got to build like a team chemistry. So that can be pretty challenging as a coach, and then for us as like me as the president as a board, it's like finding the right guys to do that because it's a 27 game season, and if we pick somebody to coach and he's over it in game 2, like we got a big problem. So, yeah.
Do you ever have coaches be like, I drafted this guy, but like I don't know where he is?
Oh, all the time. I would say there's probably 10 or 12 guys a year where they either don't show up at all, or they show up to 1 or 2 games, and it could just be that I don't want to play softball, or something in their life changed.
Yeah.
But the one thing we changed this year was we do have like a $20 players fee for the league, and usually it's
which is like the cheapest fee.
Yeah. And because luckily we have great sponsors that pay for a lot of the like the umpires and a lot of that stuff. But this year we changed it. You have to pay your players fee at the tryout. So because we had a lot of guys last year that like signed up, didn't pay their players fee, never showed up, and like now their team is kind of on the hook for that players fee, or we would just say like, that guy doesn't have to pay. So we kind of put that in place this year to say like, all right, if this guy's already paid at the beginning, maybe he is more likely to like stick around. But it, like you said, it's $20. So.
It's $20. Yeah. It's hard to hold people accountable. I've seen like for $80.
Yeah.
So, you know what I mean? It's like first people will complain about what a fee is, but then it's like, well, you're the one not showing up. You paid it.
Yeah.
What would you say? I've had a lot of people reaching out to me. You might have heard about this. Pinnacle, Aaron Surrett has now relinquished the league. He's not going to run it. People are asking me, what do I do? I've had other people reach out. They're like, well, now I want to start a separate league. What would you tell someone if they were out to start a league or just to start being a league president?
Yeah, I think number one is you're not going to do it alone. You got to find a good group of people that you can bounce ideas off of, and they're going to help you out. I think that for me, like I know I wasn't starting a league last year, but last year I took on way too much of the weight, and I didn't not that I was trying to I needed to delegate more, but just like we have a board for a reason. Like you get a group of people. So I'd say number one is like get a group of people that are like passionate about softball and like want to help and recruit and things like that. I would say that's number one. And then a lot of it comes down to marketing and how do you recruit. Knowing are we ASA or are we triple SA or our league does bat testing, but I don't think every league needs to do that. But yeah, I think it's the biggest thing is getting a group of people together that are passionate about it and like let's get after this together. And like I said, you don't need to start with a 10-team league. Start small. Start with 6 teams, 8 teams. See how it goes. You're going to make mistakes. Learn from those mistakes, and then kind of go from there.
No, that's a good way to put it. Yeah. I mean, me and Brandon, Pikachu,
Yep.
We were able to expand a league that was down to 4 teams. We got it up to 8.
Exactly.
But it took us and some other people to do that. So you're right. A village it takes everybody. A community needs to be based on everybody.
Definitely. And I think if you're going to start a league that's going to compete, like if somebody else started a Merrimack league on Thursdays, like you got to be a little different. You got to be a little creative. What's different about your league versus other leagues? What is somebody going to get for showing up at your league versus other leagues? So
that's an awesome point.
Yeah.
All right, I want to get in some top 5s here. We got some interesting ones. We got some pop culture ones, but we got some softball ones first.
Awesome.
Who currently are the top 5 Merrimack players?
Ooh, man. I'm going to get roasted for this, no matter who I say.
And no one get pissed off. All right, this is supposed to be fun.
No, so in no particular order, I'm going to start with that. No particular order. Dustin Merrill, I'm going to say definitely. He's top-notch hitter, phenomenal pitcher. So he's definitely one. Angelo Roman, I'm not sure if you're familiar with him.
No, I'm not.
But
no.
he started playing in our league a couple years ago, and man, he hits the ball hard. He's just a freak athlete. Hits the ball very hard. So he's been playing very well. Who else? Mike Gallo. He's a monster of a human, but sometimes he hits the ball, it doesn't get higher than this, and goes off the fence, and I'm like, how did that just happen?
Yeah.
But so he's a really good player, great guy too. Who am I last? Tommy Hudon. So he's another Merrimack guy. He actually grew up probably 2 years younger than me.
That sounds familiar.
Yeah, so he was 2 years younger than me. He ended up going to St. A's to play baseball.
Okay.
Phenomenal pitcher. And so he started pitching probably 3 or 4 years ago in softball, and you got to have a couple screws loose to pitch in softball. Like,
absolutely.
Yeah, and he's just so good defensively, and he's just really. He actually pitched. I don't know if you've ever been down to the Gibson tournament that we do.
I've never been there. I know exactly what it is.
Yeah, so it's unlimited arc, and he's like the best. Like he can throw it 50 feet in the air. It's going to land right on the mat behind the plate.
Yeah.
But and he's a really good hitter as well. And then for number 5, because that's 4, right? I would say number 5, this guy Andy Lee.
Okay.
He's been around for a few years as well. But man, fielding wise, like I've never seen anyone turn a double play. His footwork and his hands are so good. And then as a hitter, like he can put it right field line, left field line. So yeah, I'm sure there's plenty of deserving guys that I missed on that.
Well,
top
we had
5,
Gio on to do the same list. He put himself on.
Did he? Okay. Yeah, I wasn't going to do that. I can't do that. That's a little much.
Top 5. Now you've been in the league for a while. Is there a top 5 teams that you've seen?
Ooh, that's a tough one. So 2020 season, I am going to pull a Gio here. 2020 season, my team, it was the redraft year. It was like me, Kevin Hill, Joey V. That was J-Ro's first year, so that was kind of his getting into softball. One of my roommates, or one of my friends from high school, we just had a really, really good team, top to bottom. I think a lot of people would say that 2018 Holtz team, so this was actually Tom Boland's team.
Bobby, my brother might have been on that team.
He might have been on that team, actually.
Maybe it was 29, I can't remember.
So.
He might,
Colby Hoyle, who was in the league for a while, he was on that team. Dustin, again, Joey V was on that team. Brendan Holt, his dad owns Holtz Autosport in Merrimack. He was on the team. So those are 2 good ones. I know this was before my time, but Combat Corp won like 7 or 8 championships in a row, but that's back when it was like 8 keepers.
Yeah.
So I'm sure some of those teams were really good. When I first started playing, Todd Anderson, who he would be a great guest for you to have.
Todd Anderson. Was he a teacher? I don't know.
No, but he has like a crazy, ridiculous record in this league. Like he started coaching in like 2004. He has like 8 championships or something like that. He won last year. And he's won like 3 of the last 5 or something. But when I first started playing, they had Tommy Hudon when he was young. They had this guy Tim Paquette, who was probably the best player in the league at that
Puck?
point. They had Puck. They had a couple other like Jay Denver. They had like a really, really good team, and they had 6 keepers, so they got to keep they had a core 6 that was just really good year after year. Then I think. Outside, it's tough with a draft league.
Yeah.
A lot of the times after the draft, you'll look at a team on paper and be like, "This team is going to be one of the best teams ever," and you'd be shocked at how many of those teams, finish 7th or 8th, or don't get out of the first round. So that's another, I think, awesome part about our league is the best team on paper doesn't always win. It doesn't matter, what you've done in your softball career. It's coming in underhand. Anybody can win on any given night. Yeah.
That's true. But we played a team last night, though. You do have to have the right equipment.
Yeah.
Their bats, like, they're hitting these pop-ups that I'm like, yeah, you guys need to get, like, better bats. Like you do.
Yeah. And I think I would say in terms of the things we do the best, the draft league is the best part of our league, and then I think us testing bats is probably the next best thing. And the third thing is we started this, and I don't know if we're the only league around to do this. I know we're the first one I know of, making pitchers wear helmets.
Smart.
That was a huge thing that we did. We had some guys that weren't into it, but it's like, man, the way that these bats are made these days, and the way some of these guys hit the ball, like there's just no reason to be out there.
Well, CMAC in Rochester was almost killed in 2017.
I think when we changed the rule, somebody died in Florida. They got hit in the head, and they died in Florida. And then we also had 6-7 years ago, we had somebody that was pitching BP at our field without a screen, took one off the orbital bone, hasn't played softball since. So now we require screens for batting practice, and we require helmets for when you pitch. So.
See, we have the mask rule on Sundays, and I always wear my mask when I'm in the. I saw someone get blown up one time, so I started wearing one, and I just like it now. Like I always have a wristband.
You probably don't even realize it's on.
No, it's like I put it on. It's like it's almost like playing football again, where I'm like, I'm putting this on, and I'm going to the field. Do you have a top 5 favorite movies?
Ooh, yeah. So I'm gonna go with some typical New England ones here. So The Town, definitely one of my top 5, and The Departed. Those are I feel like those
Love
are
The
two.
Departed.
I feel like those are two like definites for me. I would say Dark Knight.
Yes.
Love that movie. Dark Knight Rises. I feel like it's a toss up for me. I'm not going to put both of them in the top 5, but I'll give Dark Knight the edge.
Well, you got Heath Ledger. It's like you can't
It was so good.
replace that.
So good. I would say Wedding Crashers, to throw a comedy in there. Like, that's a movie that I can quote, but I'll still watch it all the time. And then I feel like I need to throw in a sports movie. Probably Miracle.
Okay.
I love Miracle. I remember I was like 12 when Miracle came out, and I used to watch that on my like PS2 before going to bed, like every single night. And I love that movie. So
I have to admit, I have to see that.
never seen Miracle?
I've never been a hockey guy.
Okay.
But that is like one of the best things that ever happened, in the Olympics for the United States.
Yeah,
so.
I mean, it's definitely like from a sports movie, it's a lot of sports. Like it's not. There is stuff going on off the ice, but it is a lot of it is like actual like hockey action. So
it took me till I was 35 to see the Mighty Ducks. So
Really?
I don't know. I must have a beef with hocky. I don't know what it is.
seriously, I definitely recommend Miracle though. It's a good one.
Do you have favorite top 5 TV shows?
I had a feeling you were going to go there next.
Yeah.
The Wire is definitely number 1 for me.
I saw the first season. I need to keep finishing it off, but yes,
Yeah,
that
so-
comes up a lot here.
Yeah, anyone who I know a lot of people that they watch the first 5 or 6 episodes, like this is kind of slow. I'm like, trust me, that they're setting all this stuff up. Like some of the stuff that gets set up in season 1, they bring it full circle in season 5.
Yeah.
Just really, really well done show. I know a lot of people tell me like The Sopranos. I try to get into The Sopranos. I didn't.
That's my all-time favorite
Is
show.
it? See, like
Yeah.
I'm kind of like that's how
Yeah.
I am. That's how you are with The Wire. So The Wire number 1, I would say. I know people didn't like how it ended, but I liked Game of Thrones a lot. Like I still go back and I watch some of that every once in a while. This one might be a little recency bias, but I'm addicted to Stranger Things right now. Like,
I need to get on this train. I need to get on this
Stranger
train.
Things. So that I've watched that 2 times through already
Oh,
since it
really?
came out. So and then the last 2, I'm gonna go with Entourage.
Oh, yes.
Big Entourage guy. That's a show. I feel like I binged it in. That's one of those shows. I feel like every 2 years I'm like I got to rewatch Entourage.
I got to go back. The
Yeah.
DVDs at that time though were so annoying. They wouldn't just play through. Now I'm used to
It's-
Netflix,
yeah.
where it will just keep going.
Right.
If
Now
you're-
you're annoyed if it stops after a few episodes.
Yeah,
and it's
you
like you're still
stop. You got to
there.
go back
Yeah.
to the menu and
Yeah.
because I have all the Entourage on DVD.
Okay.
So great show.
Yeah, great show. And then here's probably one you haven't heard before. If you do this a lot with people, top 5.
This is a big segment on the show.
This
yeah.
is so I got some rationale behind this, but I'm gonna go with Law and Order. Is gonna be my number 5.
Love Law and Order. SVU's more my thing.
I kind of group it in like Law and
Yeah.
Order original and SVU.
Yeah.
Not a big criminal intent guy, but just the amount of hours that I've spent watching Law and Order, and I'll still I was watching it yesterday. But it's just like I feel like that set the stage for a lot of like other like kind of criminal procedure shows. Like I love Criminal Minds, but I don't know if there would be a Criminal Minds if there wasn't a Law and Order first.
It was the original of all those shows. Like, I mean, I'm not going to lie. When I heard Stabler was coming back, I'm a huge Chris Maloney fan because I was an Oz fan before that when he was Chris Keller, who was a serial killer, and then to see him be a cop, like,
it's always interesting.
His range is huge.
Yeah.
But when he was coming back, I was like, I fell off since, but I was like, I have to be in front of the TV to see this.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so I think just from a consistency standpoint, they did it for so long, and actually they came back now. Like, they have the Christopher Maloney one, and then they actually brought the original one back too with like Anthony Anderson and stuff. So I haven't watched any of those new ones, but hundreds of episodes and just consistent. They always hit. So
you're always like, all right, who did it?
Yeah, exactly.
It's always
even
awesome.
even when I've seen the episode 1,000 times, I'm still like, wait, who did it?
Yeah, that's just a brilliant Dick Wolf.
Oh yeah,
just
what a legend.
Absolutely brilliant. All right, I want to get into my favorite segment of the show, which is blank versus blank. I'm going to give you 2 things. You got to pick one. You got to tell me why.
Okay.
I'm a wrestling fan. I ask this one a lot. 2 guys that made it to Hollywood: Hulk Hogan or The Rock.
So I was a huge wrestling fan when I was younger too, and I feel like when I was.
I still am. But.
No, I'm just saying like I was a big Rock fan. I feel like because he was kind of like more like my and your generation a little bit more. So I definitely saw. I feel like I went to one in Manchester God knows how long ago it was. And Hulk Hogan was definitely there. And I remember it was like electric, like everybody was freaking out.
That was Backlash 2005. I brought Bobby.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
nice.
because that's the only time he's ever wrestled in Manchester.
Gotcha. So, but I'm going to go with The Rock on that one. From a wrestling standpoint, I don't really care about the acting, stuff like that. Like from pure wrestling, I'll have to stick with The Rock.
All right, good answer. Now, I'm hearing you like to golf a lot. You got to pick one, softball or golf.
Definitely softball. I've actually just recently kind of started picking up golf, and I enjoy it because I don't take it too seriously right now. But I could see like me getting like frustrated like pretty easily if I was doing it a lot. But my roommate Teddy Christie, I live with him.
Oh, do you live with Teddy Christie?
Yeah,
No way. Okay.
Big golf guy.
Yeah.
Now, like this year, he's played minimal softball, and he's
I
just
could
like
see that.
playing golf all the time. And
He's been saying that too.
Yeah, and I golfed with him once, and he was good compared to me, but because I stink. But like everyone I know that's played with him is like, wow, he's gotten like so good in like a year. So if I could commit to doing something like that, I would probably play a little bit more golf. But yeah, I'm gonna go with softball over golf.
Okay. Two legendary bands. They're very on the opposite, but if you had to pick one to listen to, Metallica or Nirvana?
Yeah, both good choices. I'll probably go with Metallica on that one. I think I'm thinking right now like pre-game type of thing. Like I'm on my way to a game. Like I'm gonna go with Metallica for sure.
Okay, all right. Here's one. If you did grow up liking wrestling, the NWO or Degeneration X?
Wow, that is a tough one. I'm gonna go with Degeneration X. I think I was a Triple H guy, and
Head of creative now.
Yeah. And I like the suck it, like that was pretty awesome. So I'm gonna go. And I like the NWO too, but I'm gonna go with Degeneration X.
All right. All right. Here's a candy one. Would you rather have Skittles or Starbursts?
I'm a big Skittles guy. I love Starburst too, but I'm gonna go with Skittles. Like one of my, it's funny. So that when the movie theater closed, Cinemagic, they had the Skittles machine where you could pick the flavors you want, and like when they closed, the first thing I thought of, I was gonna be like, are they selling that thing? Like, can I buy that Skittles machine for my house? But big Skittles guy.
Okay, so I just want to bring this up because it's been about a decade. The lime ones are back. You can get them with lime.
See, like I loved the green apple.
Oh, I hated it.
I remember when they went from lime to green apple, and I thought that was one of the best business decisions of the 21st century. But they switched back.
I went to the store. I got home. Lime was my favorite.
Okay.
I love lime, everything. If I'm gonna drink a White Claw, I want a lime one.
Those are good.
But I get back to my, I buy this big bag. So I was like, oh, green apple. What is this? And it was it took about 9 years. That was like 2013. I bought a bag the other day. It said lime is back. I guess
I saw that. I had one the other day too.
I don't know if you have the option or.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I like lime too, but I was a big green apple fan. Okay. But I did notice. It's funny you say that because I noticed that on the other day on a package.
Yeah, thank God. Yeah. I love lime. Okay, I know you're a Giants fan, but I got to ask this because I ask everybody this. Who's more responsible for the success of the New England Patriots over the 20-year span, Brady or Belichick?
Wow. That's like a chicken or the egg type of question there. And I'm a Michigan football guy, so I do like Brady. But
I'm a Notre Dame guy, so we might be feuding.
I did go to a Michigan Notre Dame game.
Oh, really?
At Notre Dame once. It was awesome.
That's my dream is I got to get to Notre Dame.
Yeah. Oh, it's really cool. I know the weirdest thing I thought of when I was there was they didn't have like a replay screen. I think they have one now, but I just remember being like, what just happened? Like, I guess I'll never find out. But yeah, I got to go with Brady though. I think Belichick obviously is a genius, but it's especially now that Brady's gone and he's won elsewhere. I think it's hard to argue with that.
Do you think though at some point it's like, well, Brady got everything he wanted? Like it feels like I love Tom Brady, but it feels like throughout his career he's gotten the players that he's wanted.
Yeah, he's got Julio Jones now.
Yeah,
it'll be interesting to see how that goes. But no, I think you're right. I think Belichick would have been successful. Kind of not no matter what, but I think he was, he's obviously a genius. But Brady's just kind of like a once. I mean, they're both once in a generation talents from coaching and playing perspectives. But yeah, that's a tough question. What do you usually get for an answer on that?
in 2020 and 2021, it was always Belichick. And now everybody's starting to say Brady.
Okay. Was that, you think, because people were sour that Brady left?
Yes.
Or? Okay.
I mean, I'm still gonna say Belichick because I'm a complete homer.
Okay. I respect that.
I do have a Bucks I root for Tom Brady, but there's a part of me that's like, dude, retire. I don't want to deal with this anymore. Like,
now you said he gets everything he wants. You think he'll get Edelman to sign with the Bucks?
I think Edelman's actually done.
You think so?
I don't think he can play.
Yeah, I think he's done too. But I've seen some stuff, people saying if they get Edelman, then they're going to get Gronk to come back too and stuff like that.
I think Gronk wants out. I think he was almost like, dude, stop pulling me back. I don't want to do this anymore.
Yeah.
Because Gronk took a beating throughout his career.
For sure.
You know?
He's a big guy.
Yeah.
Big guy. Like, he's got a lot of miles on those tires.
And the thing is, he can do whatever he wants. He can go back to WWE. The guy's just so entertaining. He'll be able to do whatever he wants.
Absolutely.
He doesn't need football anymore.
Right.
I want to get in some really tough ones here.
Okay.
Because you run a draft league. I'm going to put two players against each other. You got to pick one.
I like this.
No one take this to get bent out of shape. It's not about you personally. It's just who you're taking in the draft. I got Gio Rivera versus Teddy Christie.
Well, I did just say Teddy's my roommate, so
you got to be careful. I guess.
Got to be careful on this one. I think the interesting thing, Gio pitches, which brings kind of a different dynamic.
And sometimes he dances while he pitches.
Yeah, I've definitely seen that before. I'm gonna go with Teddy. I'm gonna go with Teddy though. Both great choices, but I've been playing with Teddy for a while, and he's still, even though he's a big golfer now, he's still when he hits it like very well.
I mean, he still has a cannon
for an arm.
He was at the fence last year. And I was catching. He threw me a strike at home and I was just like, how the heck did he do that?
Yeah, sometimes I'm watching him wind up, and I'm like, he has no idea where this is about to go, but usually it's right on the money. So.
John Masson, who requested, he was the one that really wanted you on the show, or Jason Rowe, J-Rowe.
Ooh.
Had very different styles
Very different styles.
And it could depend on what you need.
Yeah. I love Maxon, so I just met him this year.
Yeah.
That's obviously how I'm on the show. And he's doing a great job on our team. It's hard to compete with J-Rowe. I think John definitely brings like a great, energy to the team, but it's hard to, like, J-Rowe is just a guy that, like, teams can kind of, like, he kind of becomes like the central point of the team, which is great as a coach, where it's like, all right, not everybody's looking at me all the time for like, what do I do next? Like, J-Rowe's entertaining enough where it's just like, all right, everybody just have fun with J-Rowe, and then softball will take care of itself from there.
I think it's how he really became the host of that show, is that he has that very larger-than-life personality.
For sure. I mean, and I don't know if he told you, but like Dustin and I were really the ones that kind of started the podcast.
Okay.
And it would have been so boring if we didn't bring J-Rowe on. Like, he just brings so much energy to it. So we like Dustin and I kind of compliment, and Dustin still compliments him pretty well. But yeah, J-Rowe's just, he's not afraid to put himself out there and just, be a little bit out of control a little once in a while, but he keeps it pretty tame.
It's paying off for the podcast.
Yeah.
I got an umpire draft here.
Ooh.
Dave, Cooley or Sloaney?
Ooh.
Who do you want umpiring for you?
This is the one where I'll probably get roasted the most. I'm gonna go with
both
Cooley.
Former guests, by the way.
Okay. I'm gonna go with Cooley. I've played against Sloaney for a long time. I think Sloaney's a great guy. I think he's a good umpire as well. I've gotten to know Cooley a lot more over the last like 2 or 3 years. So I think they're both good umpires. But I guess I'll give the edge to Cooley there.
He seems to be the most, like, because Sloaney's playing in the league.
Yeah.
Sloaney's been a huge help for the Sunday League this year, too.
Oh, he's helped us a bunch, too, because, we're short on umpires this year, as I'm sure you know.
Yeah.
And he plays in our league, and usually guys that play in the league don't also umpire. But, when U-Trip's in kind of a bind, actually there was a game, we were playing against Sloaney's team earlier this year, and we're at Twardowski, no umpire. Sloaney was like, all right, I'll just ump the game. And, I didn't care. He wasn't going to give his team calls, but, you need guys like that. So
make it work.
Yeah.
Brett Bellerose or Cody Trammell?
So this is the one that I'm going to get roasted on the most. So I'm going to pick Belrose, mostly because I didn't draft him this year, and he's still upset about it. So if I didn't pick him twice in a row, he'd be probably delete my phone number and block me. And so I'm going to go with Brett in this one.
Okay.
I love you, Cody, but I'm going to go with Brett.
Both great players.
Yeah.
Dustin Merrill or Kevin Hill?
Ooh. So I played with both of them, like tournaments and stuff. I played with both of them a lot. You know, Kevin is probably a little bit more, versatile. You can play some infield, you can play some outfield. But there's not really any better hitters than Dustin. And in terms of like pitching, and even Dustin's a good first, like defensive first and third baseman too. So again, sorry Kevin, but I'm gonna go with Dustin on that one.
Okay, I'll do the last two quick. I know we're running out of time, Colin. I know we have a little extra, but my brother, Bobby Bullier or Corey Cairo?
I'm going to go with Bobby. I've never gotten a chance to play with Bobby. I did play against Corey in high school.
Oh, okay.
So he was a really good pitcher at Goffstown. But, Bobby coached in the fall for me one of the years, and so I got to know him a little bit. So I know him a lot more than Corey, and I know Bobby's down there, I feel like, a little bit more. So I would go with Bobby. Okay. Bobby can play a little infield, outfield, too.
We're all former Raccoons, so we had to put two Raccoons against each other. One last one. Michael Schultz or Amadeus Jackson?
So Amadeus is one that, this is the first year I've really gotten to see him play, and he's impressive. He hits the ball hard. He's another guy that pitches. And Schultz, Schultz is a really good player, and he's always there.
He loves it.
They
softball. Both love it. I mean,
and Schultz brings a little extra sometimes, a little extracurricular stuff to the team, which can be entertaining sometimes. So I'm gonna go with Schultz in this one.
All right, Jim. Well, I really appreciate you coming
Thanks
on. It's been a blast. We'll have to connect again because once I get through a full season of being a president. So
for sure.
But I want everybody out there, Nick, again, hopefully we can connect. We want to get you in the seat. We want to figure out what is going on. But everybody out there, keep your heads up. Have a great week. And until next time, let freedom ring.